Open Claude Design cold. No system prompt, no design system loaded. Type any brief you want. A poster, a slide, a cover page, a landing page hero, anything. Press generate. It'll come back looking good. That's not the surprising part. The surprising part is that it always looks like the same thing. The override. Claude Design has a house style. So does every Anthropic product. Today's episode is about the move that takes you out of it. The thing nobody's writing about because everybody's still busy reviewing the default output and calling that the product. The default output isn't the product. The override is. If you've used Claude Design for more than a day, you've noticed it. The outputs have a fingerprint, cream backgrounds or soft off-whites, calm typographic hierarchy, editorial layouts with generous whitespace, soft accent colors that never quite sing, a feel that sits somewhere between a tasteful brand book and a clean labs aesthetic you can't quite place. Run a different brief, same fingerprint. Run it on a different account, same fingerprint. It's not your output, it's not random, it's a house style, and the house style is Anthropic's, not yours. This isn't a flaw, it's a feature you haven't seen. When a product ships with no constraints, it has to make output decisions on your behalf. Anthropic has trained Claude Design to default to a coherent visual register. That register is the safest possible output across the broadest possible range of users. Anything you generate without giving instructions about voice, brand, or aesthetic gets generated in that register. Most reviews of Claude Design test exactly that. They open the tool, type a brief, look at the output. They never load a brand, they never paste a design system, they never override anything. Then they conclude that Claude Design produces a particular flavor of design. They're not wrong about the output, they're wrong about what they tested. Here is the override prompt. Screenshot this if you want to follow along. I'm a designer working on output for my own brand. Before you generate anything, I'm going to give you a short brand brief. You'll use it on every piece of output I ask for in this session. The brief is below. Brand voice. 2 sentences on how the brand sounds. Visual direction. 3 to 5 words on aesthetic. Typography. 2 typefaces named. Palette. 3 to 5 hex codes with 1 designated accent. Constraints. 3 things the brand never does. Now generate the thing I asked for in this brand. That's the override. 5 categories. Concrete, specific, anchored to your actual brand, not to Claude Design's defaults. 3 reasons the override produces fundamentally different output than a cold brief. It establishes a constraint set before generation. Once Claude has the brand brief, the generation work is interpolating into your brand rather than picking from neutral defaults. Different starting point produces different output. It eliminates the safety register. Claude's default visual decisions are calibrated for the average user. Your brand isn't average. Specifying it gives Claude something more interesting to optimize toward than averageness. It compounds across the session. The brief stays loaded. Every subsequent piece of output you ask for in the same conversation inherits the brand. By the 3rd or 4th output, Claude has internalized your aesthetic, and you're getting genuinely on-brand work without having to re-specify each time. Take a recurring fictional operator. 2-person small business doing contract review for trades. Brand they've been quietly building for a year. Clean, technical, slightly editorial, the kind of thing a builder takes seriously without being intimidated by. Cold brief into Claude Design. Make me a 1-page service overview. Out comes something cream-colored with soft serifs, a warm accent, generous whitespace. Tasteful, but it's not their brand, it's the default. Override brief. Brand voice. Clear, technical, no fluff. Visual direction. Utility grade, slight editorial, near black background. Typography. Inter and JetBrains mono. Palette. Near black, off-white, electric aqua, single line of red for warnings. Constraints. No soft pastels, no decorative serifs, no stock imagery. Now generate the one-page service overview. Out comes something near black with crisp typography and an aqua accent. Different category of output entirely. Same 8-second generation time. Same tool, different result, because the constraint set was different. Here's the frame that makes the rest of the channel make sense, and it starts here. Anthropic ships products that have a default. The default is fine. The default is not the product. The product is what happens after you load your own constraints. Claude Design's default is the safest broad register. Once you override it, the tool you're holding is fundamentally a different tool. It still has the same engine, but it's now generating against your brief, not against the average brief, and that changes what's coming out. The whole channel is going to keep coming back to this. It's not specific to design. It applies to chat, to projects, to code, to every product Anthropic ships. The default isn't the ceiling. The default is the floor. A working definition, plain language. The override is the move where you load your own context, brand, voice, and constraints into a Claude product before asking it to generate. It is the mechanism by which a generic tool becomes your tool, in your hands working against your standards. It's not a trick. It's not a prompt engineering hack. It's the way the products were designed to be used by anyone who plans to spend serious time inside them. Anthropic publishes the system prompt feature, the design system feature, the project context feature, and the memory feature for exactly this reason. They expect you to override. Most people don't. 3 things you need to actually run the override. You need a brand, not a logo, a brand. A coherent point of view about how your work looks and sounds. If you don't have one, the override has nothing to override into, and you'll get default output forever. You need to be able to articulate it. The brief above has 5 categories for a reason. If you can't fill them in, your brand isn't ready to be loaded into a tool. That's not a Claude problem. That's a brand problem, and it's worth solving before you blame the AI. You need to load it into the right place. For Claude Design, that means the design system feature. For chat, the system prompt or a project. For code, the project's claude.md. The override only works if it persists across the session, which means using the load mechanism, not just pasting it once. 3 things the override is not. It's not a longer prompt. People hear override and think they need to write a 5-paragraph mega prompt. That's not it. The override is a structured, short brand brief. 5 categories, 2 to 3 lines each. Total length, maybe 150 words. It's not a one-time setup. The override has to be loaded for each session. Or, if you use Claude Design's design system feature, persisted as a saved configuration. The point is that it's an active artifact you maintain, not a one-time configuration you forget about. It's not the same as good prompting. Good prompting is about how you describe the thing you want made. The override is about who's making it. Different layer of the system. Both matter. Confusing them produces results that disappoint you. The default output of any Anthropic product is the floor. Your override is the ceiling. The gap between them is where the work lives that nobody else has access to, because nobody else has your brand loaded. Save this, the 5-category override brief. Brand voice. 2 sentences on how the brand sounds. Visual direction. 3 to 5 words on aesthetic. Typography. 2 typefaces named. Palette. 3 to 5 hex codes with 1 designated accent. Constraints. 3 things the brand never does. Paste this once. Use it for everything. The first session you run with it loaded will look different from every Claude Design session you've run before. Next episode. The thing this whole pattern points at. Bigger than design. That's the episode. See you in the next one.